What is up, duelists? Arsencrofts here with your daily dose of Yu-Gi-Oh! GOAT format action. Today's feature match, we've got Hawk to a G versus Royal. As always, both players rated in the top 200 players on the Duelingbook GOAT format ladder. At the time this match was played, let's hop right into it. A little bit of rock, paper, scissors action for you. Hawk to a G is going to take it down. Going to choose to go first. They will just lead out with a classic set monster with a couple back row behind it pass. Nothing insane, no Trinity to speak of. Royal goes for a similar opening, just with a T set. No back row activation from either player just yet. Haktua, we're going to get flip summon to Koichi, so likely running some sort of chaos deck. That's kind of what that signifies. Going to get to draw a card, set another monster, set a back row, pass. Sure. Choosing not to crash into the set monster with the Koichi, I guess, is a little interesting. Assuming you're up against like a chaos monster, you could want to attack into like another Dekoichi just so they can't get the flip off. But attacking into Spy, I guess, doesn't really do much for you. So, interesting choice. I think I probably attack there, but it's what it is. Royal here, just going to set a monster, pass, doesn't flip up theirs. So, if you are Haktuaji, you got to think a good chance that that's maybe like a Sangan or something. There's a lot of stuff would definitely flip here. Oh, we're going to get end phase Ojama Trio. So, I remember last season before the ladder reset, Hawk2G was very high up on the GOAT format ladder, playing what I would call like Chaos Burn. It's basically like standard turbo deck, but then running like Trio plus Desserts and stuff like that, just to give the deck a little bit more of an aggressive and surprising reach. So gonna go end phase Ojama Trio here to lock out the opponent from all of the rest of their monster zones. It's pretty nice. Royal was probably not expecting that. So we'll see if they have a way to kind of play out of this scenario that they find themselves in. Hawk2G, though, is going to be able to get the first attack in here. I'm going to go lead out with a Thunder Dragon, so get a couple more copies of that card. And yeah, it's definitely that Chaos Burn sort of list. They've got a giant Shrunade as well, just to clear out all the back row. Royal's going to chain an MST just to pop one of the other ones. So you got to be worried here. You could just hit a Chainable. A little bit interesting. Going to be Desert Sunlight here out of Hawk2G. Okay, so that's going to be able to flip up their set monster. Any other chains? Nope, that all resolves. We're going to chain Jar of Greed here to draw one as well. So yeah, a little bit risky of an MST out of Royal here, because you got to assume, especially, I mean, if there are two decks in the format known for playing a lot of chainables, it's Chaos Turbo and Burn, and this is a matchup of both of them. So running your MST, didn't really matter which card you picked, both of them would have gotten chained to it. And now Sunlight can resolve here. I mean, you should go ahead and use the Desert Sunlight, right? Unless they were just showing what it was before it died. Okay, a little bit interesting. But I guess choosing not to use the Desert Sunlight? Okay. Gonna go out with a Mind Control here. It steals a Gravekeeper Spy. Alright, so Royal not going to be able to resolve that anytime soon, because there are all these Ojama tokens on the board. Spy's going to get flip face up. Looks like Hawk2G does not play a second one. Yeah, I was about to say. So the Desert Sunlight coming through. Sangan will get flip face up. Doesn't really matter. Oh, so and then Spy will search out another copy of itself. Alright, so now I guess the choice here, kind of weird. Kind of an interesting deck, right? Because Turbo generally likes being aggressive. It is very much a mid-range deck, and then once you go flip Spy, flip to Koichi, oftentimes you want to start beating in with all these guys. But I guess you don't have to. Like, you've already gotten advantage off of the Spy resolution and the Dekoichi resolution, so you don't have to get aggressive. You've already gained some advantage. But you're not always incentivized to attack into the Ojama tokens. Yeah, you'll hit your opponent for a little bit of damage, but that's not really what you're using Ojama Trio for. You want to use it to power up like pandas and just desserts and things like that, while, preventing your opponent from utilizing all their monster zones. So, a little bit of a somewhat of a strategic inconsistency here, but that's kind of how these mashup decks kind of go sometimes, right? So we'll see if it ends up being an issue where Hawk do a G, or if they can just chill with this Ojama lock for a while and then draw some burn cards to close this one out. Gonna pass turn. Royal will get their Gravekeeper Spy back. A couple back row added to the field for Hawk 2 G. Nothing crazy. We're going to get standby phase Just Desserts, though, so that's 2,500 damage straight to the dome for Royal. With a nice Ojama Trio plus Desserts combo coming through here, taking a nice chunk out of Royal's life point total. Gonna go to battle phase. This spy here can definitely attack over the Dekoichi. Recoup a little bit of the advantage lost so far. I think that's fine. Probably gonna set a couple back row here. You're at 5,500, so you're not super duper low yet, but you do need to start making a little bit of progress here before Hawk2G just burns you out. Let's see. Just gonna set a monster pass. Okay. Royal going on the defensive. Yeah, you don't really want to attack into the Sangan and get a trigger off. And you don't really know what the set is. Killing it's not going to do too much for you. Magician of Faith doesn't really do much here, especially because we know that this set monster from Royal is really not real. So you're not super duper worried about what the set is. So no need to try to kill it with the spy. I think playing defensively here is totally fine. Gonna add a back row pass. Yeah, nice little stalled out game here. Spy wall on both players' sides. Ojama lock coming in to prevent Royal from playing, so hope you guys are all settled in. Got a nice cup of tea or something, because we might be in for a long one here. Grateful Charity, gonna be played here from Royal. Gonna go ahead and discard a Sangan and a Dekoichi. So, Royal here looks like they're just running probably typical Chaos Turbo stuff. Haven't seen anything to suggest otherwise. It's getting a couple Darks engraved, some monsters that they can't play. At some point, you're gonna want to like Raigeki break one of your own tokens or something. It's probably the play. Now, the fact that they discarded Sangan is interesting, because that would be what my read is on this set monster. So now it has to be what, like Sinister Serpent? What else are you setting turn 1 and not doing anything with forever? Unless you have like a random set Tsukuyomi? I don't know. Royal here, though, gonna lead out with a Thunder Dragon. Grab a couple more copies of that. Now you can maybe go like tribute a monster for Thunder Dragon. If this is Sinister, that's pretty good, and you can start applying a little bit of pressure. Still can't get around this spy wall, but I think it's fine. And I guess the one good thing about this Chaos Burn sort of list is that when a lot of the time you're going to be playing Chaos Mirror matches and both people are just sitting on Gravekeeper Spy for forever, then just having burn cards to still deal damage while the game is sold out is pretty strong. Basically gives you inevitability in these scenarios where both players are spy walling. And it makes the main deck Minecon make a lot of sense to me. Obviously, usually mostly a side deck card. But when you expect to be, establishing a spy wall of your own is a lot better for you when you're running burn stuff, right? So I think the main deck Minecon, especially if you expect to be playing a lot of chaos stuff, which, as we've seen on the ladder, is often what's being played. So I think that makes sense. And I think seem to be working out here mostly for Hawk2G. Royal, though, has a nice full grip of cards. They're going to go Card Destruction here, which is a good card against burn strategies, just to draw into the few outs you have in your deck. Has those couple Thunder Dragons in hand here as well as discard fodder. All right. They hit the 2 Thunder Dragons in Hawk2G's hand as well, though, so going a little bit minus there. Not the end of the world. And your hand was just a bunch of monsters here. An Upstart Goblin, okay, could have used that to lead out first, but not the end of the world. Yeah, pitching double Sork, that was unplayable because you're Ojama locked. So yeah, really just trying to draw into something that can get them out of this Ojama lock is the idea. They'll get a nice full grip of cards. Set a back row pass, though, so, I mean, it could be a Raigeki break to un-Ojama lock you, but you might have to wait a turn in order to utilize that. Hawk2G is just going to add another back row and another set monster to the board. Happy to take their sweet time. We're going to get another Just Desserts here, so it's another 2,500 damage to Royal, dropping them down to 3k. So continuing to inch away, it's just a matter of time before they draw more burn stuff. And Royal's just going to draw pass, so really doesn't have any sort of action here. Hawk2G is going to go flip summon Dekoichi, draw a card. We're going to get flip summon Des Koala. Okay, pretty nice. So that was sitting there for a while. Finally, I guess, waiting for Royal to have resolved like a Thunder Dragon and go up a bunch of cards in order to do that. And that's a nice, 2k hit, dropping Royal all the way down to 1,000. And we get Ceasefire for game, Just Desserts for game. A lot of stuff can kill here. Another Des Koala would do it as well. And yeah, so I can kind of see the strategy of this deck, how it's meant to work. You want to establish a wall of your own with spies, Ojama lock your opponent, and then just stall things out. It's almost like a stall burn deck, but with a chaos kind of backup plan, just to keep the opponent, just to give the opponent another dimension that they kind of have to interact with. So you can just kind of outvalue them with Dekoichis and things like that. So you got to be worried if you're Royal. This could be another Koala, could be game. This back row could be something for game as well. Yeah, on 1,000 life points, you're Ojama locked. Looking pretty tough. Might just pack it up, go to game 2. We're going to get Desert Sunlight here in the draw phase from Hakuuji. Just going to flip Koala for game. Let's see it. Yeah, Koala for game. There you go. So game 1 here to Hakuuji on Chaos Burn versus, which just looks like standard Chaos Turbo out of Royal here. Kind of an interesting, if you're Royal, what do you side in here? I guess you probably take out your spies, right? A, to make Hakuuji's mind controls worse, and to make it so you don't get Ojama locked this easily. You probably put in the Mystic locks if you have any. You definitely keep in the card destruction. Yeah, that seems pretty good. But we'll go to game 2 here. Roy will be able to go first on this Chaos Turbo strategy. We'll see if they have any sort of nice tweaks to this game plan. It's going to go set a monster, set a bunch of back row pass. All right. Hakuuji going to lead out with a mind control on the set. Let's see what it is. It is a Gravekeeper Spy, so Royal keeping at least one copy in. So, I mean, it is sometimes depending on what your 55 looks like. It's fine to keep in one spy, because one spy on its own won't Ojama lock you. And it is actually a really good target for Mystic Lock, healing yourself for 2,000, which is really nice as like a normal summonable monster. But we won't get to see for now if Royal is keeping multiple copies of Spy in the deck, because Hakuuji is going to steal it with the Mind Con and go out summon a Spy of their own. Just going to sit it in defense position, start out the wall like we saw last game that Royal really struggled to deal with. So game plan, off to a good start for Hakuuji here. Going to set a monster pass. No back row here, though. So kind of a naked board. Royal could potentially get some stuff to go here. Just going to turn Spy to defense and add another monster, though. So playing into Hakuuji's plan, as you saw last game, these Spy wall situations are very favorable for the player running all the burn stuff. Setting another monster here, potentially top deck Ojama Trio out of Hakuuji would be insane to lock them. But we'll see if they have that available. We're just going to flip summon Dekoichi, so go up a nice card here. Not sure what that token's doing. Battle phase will go attack into the set monster, which is a Sangan. So getting a little bit aggressive with the Dekoichi. Royal will be able to go ahead and search up a monster of their own. They're gonna go grab a Knight Assailant, which is a nice out to the Singleton Spy on Hakuuji's side of the field. To start maybe getting a little bit aggressive. So I like that grab. And then Hakuuji is going to add another set monster and pass no back row to speak of yet. And your Spy Wall is getting threatened by this potential Knight Assailant play. So Royal in a decent position if they're able to get that to resolve. They top deck Pot of Greed, which is always a good card to see. All right, not bad. Going up a card. Into Graceful Charity, so nice little double trinity here on turn 2 or 3. Going to discard a Magician of Faith and that Knight Assailant. Interesting. So, yeah, that Knight Assailant that they grabbed off the Sangan, comboing nicely with the Graceful that they drew off the Pot of Greed. Presumably, they didn't shuffle their hand, so I'm pretty sure this Graceful came in off the pot. And then Assailant effect will just be able to return that Magician of Faith to hand. So getting really good value out of here. +2 for the turn, thanks to the pot plus Graceful plus Knight Assailant combo. Thunder Dragon here as well. Going up even more cards. Must have drawn that off of that Graceful Charity. And now that gets the light engrave that they need to summon out a Blackluster Soldier, Envoy of the Beginning. No back row here, so you are free to just go ahead and do this. You have a lot of options here. You could go attack over the Spy, attack over the Dekoichi. You could banish the face down if you're worried about like a Des Koala burning you for a bit. Plenty of choices here. They're just going to go for the safe one, banish the set monster, which is a Magician of Faith. So ending up protecting your BLS because Faith regrabbing the Mind Con to deal with the BLS was certainly a live play for Hakuuji. So Royal playing it safe here. You still have the BLS around to deal with the rest of the board later if you so choose. And you still have your normal summon to add another set monster. It's not going to be that Night Assailant they grabbed off of Sengen, but could have another copy of Night Assailant, which would be nice. Could be that Magician of Faith that they grabbed back, with Pot and Graceful Engrave is quite strong. And Hakutuji has already used a Mind Con, so it's a little bit safer than it would be otherwise. So nice turn there from Royal. Pot into Graceful, into Night Assailant effect, into Thunder Dragon, into BLS. It's pretty good. Turbo doing turbo things, and Hawk to a G. A little bit on the back foot here. Your board is about to get swept away by the big boy. We'll see if you have an answer to it, though. Let's see. I'm going to lead out with a Graceful Charity, so trying to dig for some potential answers to this board. I'm going to discard a Gravekeeper Spy and a Raigeki Break. Okay, so Raigeki Break is an answer to BLS, so discarding it makes me think that they must have something else to deal with it. Discarding Spy, I think, is fine as well. You already got one on the field. So let's see. Pot of Greed. Of course, you keep that off the Graceful. So draw a couple more cards. Into Giant Trunade, so trying to clear out the back row to then go ahead and deal with this BLS. We'll see if there are any chainables from Royal's side. Gonna chain Mystic Walk and Ring of Destruction. Okay. What are the targets for each? So Ring is gonna pop the Spy. Both players will take 1,200. And then we're going to Mystic Walk our own Spy to gain 2,000. Okay. So a couple nice chainables there. Like I mentioned, Mystic Walk's coming in out of the side from Royal. Seems like a good play here. And keeping Spy in as a solid Mystic Walk target. So getting a lot of good value out of the Spy, despite it getting mind controlled. However, Trunade will resolve, though. The last couple of backer will get bounced to Royal's hand. And now their board is kind of a sitting duck for whatever Hakutuji might have. Snatch Shield would be very strong here, amongst other things. Yeah, so Snatch Shield coming in on the BLS. Going to go ahead and banish that set monster, which was the Magician of Faith. So really big reversal of fortunes here, thanks to that Graceful Charity. And Dekoichi can now get in for 1,400, which isn't terrible. And now Royal, you got a lot to deal with here. Another set monster and a back row added here as well. You do have a nice full grip of cards, but two of them are Thunder Dragons, right? And your BLS plus Magician of Faith play has been stymied. Could be a little bit tough. You do get to gain 1,000 off of the Snatch Shield, which is kind of nice when you're playing a burn deck, or playing against a burn deck. We just got MST on the Snatch Shield, though, which is pretty solid. And Hakutuji is going to go ahead and have to Raigeki break their own quote-unquote BLS, discarding a Torrential Tribute. Wow, so yeah, that was a super-duper valuable MST. Yeah, you don't end up getting your BLS back, but you force your Hakutuji to 2-for-1 themselves to kill the own BLS. And now you're just up a million cards, and you're at 8,400 life points. And things are looking pretty good for Royal, I think, at this point, despite their BLS being answered. Ooh, and then that ends up getting another Light Engrave here to turn on a potential Chaos Sorcerer play. We're going to go ahead and banish that Dekoichi. Keeping the Dark out of the grave doesn't really matter, so I maybe would have preferred attacking over the Dekoichi here. But not the end of the world. I mean, it would have been nice to get a little bit of damage in. And we're going to go... Oh, okay. Okay, so we can go... Never mind. So you can go Tsukiyomi, flip up the Sork. Or no, sorry, you can't do... The Sork was just summoned this turn, so you can't do that. So in this case... Okay, so the plan is we're going to go Sork, banish the Dekoichi, battle phase, Tsukiyomi crash into the set monster. Which is a little bit interesting. I guess if your plan was to attack the set monster, you probably wanted to just do it with the Sork, I guess. But this way you could potentially deal with both monsters at the same time. It's a little bit interesting of a play, but going for maximum value here. And you do hit a Magician of Faith, which Hakutuji, you got a lot of good answers. Royal smartly setting their Sork with the Tsukiyomi play. That was probably part of what they wanted to do, because now it means their Sork is safe from Snatch Steal. It's not safe from Mind Control, but I think you're totally fine. You know, you'd rather get Mind Control than Snatch Stealed. That's really fine. Hakutuji might not even grab the Mind Control here, because Pot and Graceful are both in grave. But I like playing around Snatch Shield with the Suk here. It's going to be pretty nice. Royal just going to grab the Pot of Greed, not going for the easy out to the Sork with the Mind Control. I think that's pretty fair, even if you don't have a way of dealing with the Sork right now, because you are pretty far behind. You have a lot of work to do to catch up, so even just going one for one answering the Sork is probably not going to do enough to get you back into the game. Um, so I like going for broke, grabbing the pot, trying to draw, and kind of recuperate a lot of this lost card advantage. Royal's just going to pass here with the Sork set and a back row. Hawk 2G, probably going to lead out. Oh, draws into Thunder Dragon, okay. Not too bad. And notably that Faith hitting the grave last turn does turn on Chaos for Hawk 2G. So that could potentially come down. The Thunder Dragon into pot is a classic play. Thin the deck a little bit, make your Pot of Greed a little bit better. Let's see what they draw into. Anything good? We're going to go slam down Chaos Sorcerer, which notably can beat over a defense position Chaos Sorcerer. Nice. So really nice turn here to kind of get back into things after that catastrophic Snatch, Steal, Raigeki Break debacle fighting over the BLS from Royal. But Sork can go ahead attack over the defense position, Sork, so getting a nice +1 there. Dark already engraved, so that doesn't matter. I'm going to add a back row as well. So nice play there for Hawk 2G, taking back the initiative. And cards are pretty much even again. Royal has to go set a monster, set a back row, pass. So trying to wall out the Sork. The face down monsters, of course, cannot be banished by Sork's effect. So a little bit safer of a play than it would be into like a BLS. Hawk 2G, though, has the tempo and pressure advantage here. Nullman of Crossout is huge to go ahead and banish this. It's just the Tsukuyomi there, so Royal making an interesting play. Could be potentially just trying to bait out a knock, because you haven't really seen one for a while. But setting Suk just to block the damage from the Sork doesn't seem that amazing, so if you're Hawk 2G, you got to sniff potentially Battle Trap here, is my guess. We're going to get in with that Sork anyway, though, and we're gonna just gonna get a Raigeki Break, discarding one of those Thunder Dragons in hand to pop the Sork. Okay, so Royal dealing with the threat, but Hawk 2G has definitely grinded their way back into this game, and I guess you can kind of see the advantages of this deck. We haven't really even seen any burn stuff from them this game, so I wonder if it's just like burn. Chaos Burn that then transition sides into pure Chaos Turbo, because you would expect your opponent to bring in some anti-burn cards like the Mystic Walks and stuff. And then they are just kind of not great when you end up playing a grindy Turbo Mirror. So, interesting side plan here out of Hawk 2G, potentially anticipating what Royal's strategy was going to be and countering it by just siding out of the burn stuff. Don't know that for sure, because we haven't seen all the cards in the deck, of course, but having not seen any trios or anything yet makes me think that's probably the case. Royal here, just going to set a monster pass. All right, and yeah, Hawk 2G really just grinding this one out pretty well. They got a second Nobleman of Crossout, this time banishing a Magician of Faith, which Royal would have loved to get resolved. Unfortunate that your opponent's already used a Mind Con and the first Nobleman of Crossout, and they just have the second one in hand. But that's how these things go sometimes. And that's one of Royal's big potential, comeback cards is now gone. I guess neither player having any more copies in their deck. Sure. Oh yeah, Hawk 2G has none left. Sure, Royal just going to draw, set a back row pass, and you're really on the back foot here. Hawk 2G has yet to be able to establish a threat, though. So Royal sitting at 8,400 life points, does have time to kind of get back into this game, for sure. We're going to get Raigeki Break here on the new set, discarding one of those Thunder Dragons. Okay. But we're going to chain Royal Decree out of Royal. Interesting. So this is Turbo playing Royal Decree? That's really interesting. Turbo is often a very, very trap-heavy deck. But I guess Decree as potentially part of the side plan against Burn, and you can take out like your Jar of Greeds and stuff, is the idea, and side into more spells. And just keep the valuable stuff like Raigeki Breaks and Ring of Destruction. A little bit interesting, but potentially getting a lot of value here with Decree chain to Raigeki Break. A nice little, almost +2. You know, Thunder Dragon's not a full card. But, yeah, turning off all traps is pretty nice here. Yeah, and there you go. Hawk 2G probably didn't expect that one coming, and that might be Royal's avenue back into this game. Clearly worth protecting their other set card. And now this Decree is here, which could very well throw a wrench into Hawk 2G's plan. However, when you know you don't have to play around Mirror Force or Torrential Tribute anymore, stuff like slamming a Chaos Sorcerer ends up being a lot better. So we're just going to go ahead and get aggressive here. I like the play out of Hawk-Tuaji. Sork is going to come down, attack in for 2,300. And now Royal, they do have Chaos Live of their own, but one Sork and one BLS are gone. Not sure if you play any more Chaos monsters, maybe just a single other Sork. And this is a pretty tough threat to deal with when you don't have access to any traps, like I was just alluding to. Royal going to draw for a turn, though. Going to set a monster in the way here. Up to a G is off Chaos. No Darks Engrave at the moment. I believe they have a Thunder Dragon in hand and a couple unknowns. Just going to go ahead and attack into the set monster. It is a Gravekeeper Spy, so that will not really do anything. It'll just protect Royal's life points for the turn. Summon out another copy of itself, thin the deck a little bit, which is not nothing, but definitely threaten to just get banished or killed by the Sork next turn. So not the most amazing card in this situation, but protecting your life points is totally fine, I guess. Royal here, yeah, now you really need to deal with the Sork, otherwise it will start getting lots of advantage. We're going to go Tribute Summon for Mobius, the Frost Monarch. Pretty safe to do under Royal Decree, so maybe this is part of the plan. Is like, I'm going to go Decree to make it less likely my opponent can answer Mobius. Tribute for Mobius, pop the back row, beat over the Sork. This is a really big turn here for Royal, if this can land. And you pop a dead Ring of Destruction. I mean, I guess in that sense, Decree kind of gets in the way of Mobius, because if you're already turning off all of your opponent's traps, popping them with Mobius doesn't really do too much. But it does make it more likely that they can't answer the Mobius itself, and if you just need a 2,400 beater, then this is pretty good. And yeah, now you can just beat over the Sork, and you have a massive threat on board that's going to be pretty tough to deal with. Unless Hawk-Tuaji has like a Tsukuyomi or something. So really nice play there from Royal, setting up for this Mobius play. Spy getting a lot of value here, just being able to stick around as a sticky body and get Tribute Summoned for the Mobius. When you're running Tribute monsters, of course, Tributes in general are not the strongest thing to be doing in GOAT format. But if you do want to run some of the stronger ones, like the Monarchs, your Zaborgs and your Mobiuses, you definitely want to be running stuff like Spy that are float around on the board, leave stuff behind, and give you more fodder for your Tribute guys. Yeah, Spy doing its job there, sticking around, getting tributed for Mobius, and now Royal has completely turned this game around once again. Really back and forth game 2 here. Royal definitely siding into anti-burn stuff, which Hawk-Tuaji I think got a little bit of advantage from, because it looks like they just went into a pure Chaos Turbo kind of side here. But Royal finding good use out of their anti-burn stuff anyway, keeping their life points high, finding a Mobius which answers Chaos, sure. Now, Hawk-Tuaji, I know one card in your hand is a Thunder Dragon. You have 3 potential outs to this Mobius. And one of them is Blockbuster Soldier. Okay, so that's going to come down. Yeah, unfortunately, that Dark getting in the grave in the form of Chaos Sorcerer is exactly what Hawk-Tuaji needed in order to go and summon the BLS. Decree on board, making it very unlikely that they have any outs to this. And now BLS can just get in for major damage, attack over the Mobius, and then get in for 3k on top of that. Really nice. So that'll be 3,600 damage coming in on Royal, dropping them to 2,500. Lethal on board, and man, what a back and forth game here. Hawk-Tuaji slamming the Sork, it getting answered by the Mobius. Mobius in turn getting answered by the BLS. Both players just one-upping each other in sequence. And Royal, I guess you need Snatch Steal or a BLS of your own. Otherwise, you might be in trouble. Heart of the card moment here, though. Just gonna set a monster in the way. Sure. Hawk-Tuaji gonna go Heavy Storm, blow up the back row. We're gonna chain Mystic Walk. So this is pretty interesting. Okay. So chaining the Mystic Walk, I guess the plan was to chain it if BLS wanted to banish the card, so then you would gain the life, and ideally it's something with more than like 500 attack or defense, so you don't just die to a BLS attack. But so it ends up being a Dekoichi, so you're going to go up to 3,900, but then just any monster out of Hawk-Tuaji is basically game. So just trying to hold on for any of their top deck answers. Unfortunately, two of the good Trinity engraved, the Trinity that you want to see in this scenario. And yeah, let's see. Hakutoji, any sort of monster. Give me normal summon to Koichi, normal summon Spy for game. Let's see. I'm just going to get in for 3k. Drop Royal down to 900. Set some back row pass. And now it is a full Heart of the Cards moment here. 4 Royal. Needs to draw something quite nice here. And it is a Tribe Infecting Virus. Okay, that isn't out to BLS if it's allowed to stick. Hakutoji, do you have a Solemn to prevent this? Let's see. Definitely going to use Prio, discarding Sinister Serpent. So a nice free +1 here to kill the BLS. Oh, man, and then there's the Ceasefire. Oh, so chaining the Ceasefire before the BLS hits the grave, and that is just game. Hitting for 1,000, unless there's another Mystic Walk in hand, but at that point it's... Oh, Mystic Walk would actually be kind of nice. You probably don't run the third, but the Tribe effect would still resolve killing the BLS, which would be kind of fun. Yeah, Ceasefire for game there. And wow, Hakutoji on this Chaos burn list, taking it down 2-0 over Royal on typical Chaos control. Nice little transition side out of Hakutoji, catching Royal siding into a bunch of burn stuff, giving them a suboptimal game 2 matchup against just standard grindy Chaos control. And Hakutoji really just taking that all the way to the bank. Still a little bit of burn in the deck post side to close out the game here in a nice near top deck scenario. And man, what a back and forth that one was. Really cool stuff. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll catch you all next time.